Okay, 6D here says for this function, give the location of any intercepts and asymptotes, and we might, I don't know if we really need to graph it, but let's go ahead and do it. So now the first thing is, notice that this is not a bunch of factors multiplied together here. It's separated by a plus or minus sign. So what you need to do is factor out the common factor. Now, we can see that the common factor is x minus 3, but to what power? See, there's an x minus 3 here. There's an x minus 3, but we factor it out to the negative 2 or to the negative third? Well, look at this thing here. Look at an easier problem. What's the common factor for this expression? X squared minus x cubed. The common factor is x squared because it's the lowest power. We'd factor out the x squared. Well, what's the lowest power between negative 2 and negative 3? Well, the lower number between negative 2 and negative 3 is negative 3. It's lower, farther to the left on a number line. So x minus 3 to the negative third is the common factor. Now, that's what we'll factor out. And also there's a common factor of 2, because there's a common factor of 2 between the 2 and the 8. So we'll factor out the 2 times x minus 3 to the negative third. Now, what do we have left over? Well, see, when we factor out something like this, back here to this x squared minus x cubed, we factor out an x squared, and what do we have left over here in terms of when we factor out an x squared out of that x cubed? Well, let me see if I show that here somewhere. Let me see. Well, what we have is when we factor out that x squared, we would have one extra x located. So you'd factor out the x squared and you're left with quantity 1 minus x. Where did that x come from? Well, 3 is 1 higher than 2. So on this, when I'm factoring out that x minus 3 to the negative third, which is the lowest power on the top, then on this one, I say, how much bigger is negative 2 than negative 3? It's 1 bigger. I just subtract them if you need to. And then what do I have left over here? An x, and then an extra, 1 extra x minus 3 here. See, when you do negative 2 minus a minus 3, you'll get to the first power right there. So x times x minus 3. And then what do I have left over here when I take out the 2? Well, 8 divided by that 2, the common factor of 2, is a 4. And I took out the whole x minus 3 cubed. So it's a pretty rough one there. Okay, so in here, this is just to the first power. Okay? And then let's see what we got. So now taking the x across, I get x squared minus 3x minus 4. Now, believe it or not, that bit there factors too. Now, what can you do? Well, this stuff right here gets flipped down the bottom. A negative exponent means flip it. So x minus 3 squared is on the bottom, and x minus 3 cubed is also now on the bottom. From flipping that down, that makes it up to x minus 3 to the fifth on the bottom. So that's the hardest part on this, is factoring out the common factor when you're dealing with negative exponents. The common factor is the factor to the lowest. We can see it's x minus 3, but what's the lowest power on these two? Well, the lowest power is negative 3. So that's what you factor out. X minus 3 to the negative third is what you factor out. There's also a common factor of 2. So that gets factored out. Once that gets factored out, what's left over? Let's go down to here. Well, on the first one, there was an x that was extra. Say, factoring that out, there's an x extra. And there's also, look, negative 2 is how much bigger than negative 3? It's 1 bigger, so it's x minus 3 to the first, minus 8 divided by that 2 is 4, and you already factored out the x minus 3, so that's it. Now it's just, that's the hard part. Now it's easy after this. Take the x through, x squared minus 3x minus 4, factors again, negative exponent gets flipped, that gets flipped down the bottom, making it x minus 3 to the fifth. Then at that point, it's all factored so you can get everything. X-intercepts, top equals 0. 4 and negative 1. There's your x-intercepts. Vertical asymptotes, the bottom, 3 makes that equal 0. So x equals 3 is a vertical asymptote. In horizontal asymptote, you look at the powers. Power on the top is second power. When you multiply that together, it would be up to x squared. Bottom is fifth power. So the bottom is bigger, so there's going to be a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. So that's pretty much all that. We will do the cylinder problem and maybe the box one too on the next video.